Good evening. Legislative Day number 19 will now come to order. Please rise for a moment of silent meditation. And since Councilman Crandall just turned 50 on November 11th, happy birthday, Todd. We'll now call upon Councilman Crandall, who will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. And before we started, I also wanted to recognize Councilman Mark's daughter, Madeline. It's nice to see you in the audience. Thank you for being here. All righty. All right, is there a motion to approve the journal for the meeting of November 4th, 2019?
I'll move it.
I'll second it.
Been a motion and second. All in favor?
Aye.
The journal is approved. Enrollment of bills. Bills 49-19, 50-19, and 52-19 were passed by the council, signed by the executive, and are hereby enrolled. Bill 54-19, passed by the council, returned unsigned by the county executive, is also enrolled. Mr. Secretary, now read all bills for introduction, please.
Mr. Chair, first is Bill 65-19, current expense budget, community-based programs to test and cure hepatitis C. Bill 66-19, sponsored by Councilman Marks, is entitled Zoning Regulations, Boarding or Rooming Houses.
Council will now consider all bills for final reading and vote. Mr. Secretary, first bill, please.
Bill 55-19, general obligation bonds.
And Mr. Secretary, it's my understanding from the work session last week that the voting deadline for Bill 55-19 is to be extended?
That is also my understanding, Mr. Chair.
And are there any questions or comments from the members? Is there a motion to extend the deadline for Bill 55-19?
So moved.
Second.
Been motion and second. Mr. Secretary, please call the roll on the motion to extend the deadline for Bill 55-19.
Mr. Quirk?
Aye.
Mrs. Bevins?
Aye.
Mr. Jones?
Aye.
Mr. Patoka?
Aye.
Mr. Katch?
Aye.
Mr. Marks?
Aye.
Mr. Crandall?
Aye.
The motion passes. Bill 55-19 is hereby extended to the work session on November 26th and the legislative session to December 2nd. Mr. Secretary, next bill, please.
Next is Bill 56-19, capital budget, Owings Mills Center, CCBC.
And I see we have President and Dr. Sandra Kurtenitis here to testify. And good evening.
Well, good evening to you. I am here as a very poor substitute for Vice President Melissa Hopp. I know she testified quite ably when you had your work session, and I came equipped with her notes, her advice, and her threats. So I am here to ask for your support. I'm not quite sure. I've never quite done this before, but this is if this is the right approach. So I'm here actually to ask your support for approval of the supplemental appropriation of $1.7 million. And I want to just say to you that we are extraordinarily grateful to the county for enabling us to actually receive these dollars. It's like getting manna from heaven because we have the several capital projects that will benefit significantly. Shall I read them, or are you already acquainted with what they are?
I think we were pretty well briefed by Melissa. Any
Yes.
members? I know we have an amendment as well, but I think we're good. And why don't we'll work on the amendment first. We'll open up for questions and comments. after the amendment, but I think we're probably good. Mr. Secretary, please read the amendment to Bill 56-19.
Mr. Chair, the amendment essentially specifies additional projects. First of all, the act itself refers to the Owings Mills Center CCBC as a $1.186 million supplemental appropriation. This amendment would change that number to $1,713,721 derived from general obligation bonds. The amendment would also then include the following additional projects: Essex renovations additions, power plant modernization, capital maintenance and renovations, roof repair and replacement, and those amounts are $475,000 for the Essex renovations, $70,000 for the power plant modernization, $1,068,720 for the capital maintenance and renovations, and $100,000 for the roof repair replacement. Those projects are then also specified in this bill in the amendment, and would also be included in the supplemental appropriation.
And Mr. Secretary, just to make sure I'm clear, so fiscal matter 1, which is the BAT, as we'd like to call it.
Yes.
Now that's being rolled up in this amendment, is that right?
Essentially, yes. If the council approves this amendment and the bill as amended, then I believe that would obviate the need for the BAT, which is fiscal matter 1, which would then, I believe, be withdrawn or taken off the agenda.
Okay. I'll move this amendment to Bill 56-19.
Second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. Mr. Secretary, please call the roll on amendment to Bill 56-19.
Mr. Quirk?
Aye.
Mr. Catch?
Aye.
Mr. Crandall?
Aye.
Mrs. Bevins?
Aye.
Mr. Marks?
Aye.
Mr. Jones?
Aye.
Mr. Patoka?
Aye.
The amendment passes. Okay, now let's open up for any questions or comments from the members to President and Dr. Kurtenitis. Councilman Couch?
Mr. Chairman, all seriousness, you should not describe yourself as not as good as someone
Oh, as a
else,
poor
because you
substitute.
do,
Well, you're very kind. Thank you.
do an excellent job. We appreciate what you do so much.
I'm very
And,
grateful
a
for
very
the support you
strong
give.
Community college system, one which offers alternative education, and I appreciate it. So don't demean yourself.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Councilman Jones?
Yes, Dr. Kurtenitis, of course, we are very thankful for all your efforts and your leadership in terms of leading the community college, and we're just ecstatic. We think, I continue to tell everyone, it is truly a bargain in terms of economic potential at the end of investment in terms of education in a couple of years. But what I would like for you to do is just share with my colleagues, you and I were just talking about College Promise program.
Yes.
And I would like for you to share with my colleagues not only what a success it is, but also how we, because of our investments in education, there is more children or more people attending today than would have been without it. Go ahead.
That's correct. We were talking about the College Promise Scholarship Program, which you all supported. And the first year was a slow start because we had to learn how to do it. But I am very pleased to tell you that this year we have already enrolled roughly 700 students who are able to attend full-time. And remember, your support for this was so important because the College Promise supports families who make too much money to receive Pell Grants, but too little money to be able to send their children to even the community college full-time. So what you've done is to make an extraordinary gesture of support for families who would otherwise be faced with significant college debt. We're grateful and proud, and I hope you are too.
Thank you.
Other questions or comments from the council? Councilwoman Bevins?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Dr. Kurtenitis, I have a personal story to share. I was at a restaurant and I had a young woman as a server, and I just started chatting with her, and because she was new to that restaurant, and she explained to me that she also attends CCBC Essex in college, and that's the program she was on, the College Promise, and she said,
Really?
so I explained to her the role.
Wonderful.
And she said, she was teary-eyed, and she said, I would have never, ever, ever been able to go to school without this, so thank you.
Yes,
Yeah,
there you have
yeah.
it. Thank you for that.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, thank you.
Other questions or comments? President Kurtenitis, it's a real pleasure and to really work with you. And I think you're respected around the country
Thank
for
you.
your work with the community colleges. And so we're always happy to see you because you really have been outstanding since you took over at CCBC, and it really turned it around. So it's you wanna echo that?
Yeah, I want to give you a chance to toot your own horn here. Tell everyone the leadership position you're in, the national leadership
Oh, the
position.
national leadership position. I have been on the board of the American Association of Community Colleges now for 5 years. Last year, I was selected to serve as the chair of this group that represents 1,100 community colleges
Wow.
across the country.
That's incredible.
Yeah, made me
Congratulations.
feel real proud. Yeah. And you should know how well respected the name, the Community College of Baltimore County is when at these national conventions, our trustees go, our vice presidents, our faculty go, everywhere people says, oh, you're from CCBC. Well, tell me how you do X. Thank you.
Any other questions, comments? All righty. I'll move Bill 56-19 as amended.
Second.
Been a motion and second. Mr. Secretary, please call the roll on Bill 56-19 as amended.
Mr. Quirk?
Aye.
Mrs. Bevins?
Aye.
Mr. Patoka?
Aye.
Mr. Catch?
Aye.
Mr. Jones?
Aye.
Mr. Marks?
Aye.
Mr. Crandall?
Aye.
Bill 56-19 as amended is passed. Thank you, President Kurtenitis.
Thank you.
Mr. Secretary, next bill, please.
Next is Bill 57-19. This is a bill sponsored by Council Members Catch, Marks, and Jones, the Building Code of Baltimore County Agricultural Buildings.
And it's my understanding as well that the voting deadline for Bill 57-19 is to be extended. Are there any questions or comments from the members?
Well, yeah,
Councilman
Mr.
Koch?
Chairman, in the next 2 weeks, we're going to be working on this legislation with the administration, and I'm sure that we'll come up with an accommodation. So, because this bill is very important to the wine industry in Baltimore County as well as the brewery industry. Thank you.
All right. Any other questions, comments? Is there a motion to extend the deadline for Bill 57-19? You move it?
I move it.
I'll second it.
All right, Councilman Couch moved it, and Councilman Jones and Mark seconded it. Mr. Secretary, please call the roll on the motion to extend the deadline for Bill 57-19.
Mr. Catch?
Aye.
Mr. Marks?
Aye.
Mr. Quirk?
Aye.
Mr. Patoka?
Aye.
Mr. Jones?
Aye.
Mrs. Bevins?
Aye.
Mr. Crandall?
Aye.
The motion passes. Bill 57-19 is hereby extended to the work session on November 26th and the legislative session on December 2nd. Mr. Secretary, next bill, please.
Next is Bill 58-19, sponsored by Councilman Marks, conveyance of property, governments, and nonprofit entities.
If it's okay with Councilman Marks, we'll do the amendment and then we'll open it for questions and comments. All right, Mr. Secretary, please read the amendment to Bill 58-19.
The amendment is mostly technical, Mr. Chair. On page 2 of the bill, it would state that in the case of a property that is in a county historic district or the county final landmarks list, that the property could be conveyed in a certain manner. The amendment takes out or listed in the National Register of Historic Places. This is language that Mr. Field and I discussed and both agreed that it was not necessary to be in the bill.
Any questions or comments on the amendment? Is there a motion to approve the amendment to Bill?
So moved.
Second.
Been motion and second. Mr. Secretary, please call the roll on the amendment to Bill 58-19.
Mr. Quirk?
Aye.
Mr. Marks?
Aye.
Mr. Crandall?
Aye.
Mrs. Bevins?
Aye.
Mr. Jones?
Aye.
Mr. Catch?
Aye.
Mr. Patoka?
Aye.
The amendment passes. Questions, comments from the members? Councilman Marks?
Sure. Bill 5819 would permit Baltimore County to convey property that is located in the county historic district or in the county final landmarks list to nonprofit entities for less than its appraised present value or for no compensation. We're trying to determine the future of the Perry Hall Mansion, which is owned by Baltimore County, and this is a process by which a nonprofit could conceivably take ownership of the mansion. This bill is supported by the Preservation Alliance of Baltimore County. In their letter to us, they say the following, and I want to emphasize this. The structure of Bill 5819 also makes certain that the county would have the safeguard of being able to vet any nonprofit entity before it conveys or leases a historic property to them. This allows for the precaution that any potential steward has the ability and wherewithal to properly care for a conveyed building. So, we do not act on this unless the county executive decides to send this to us and we determine that it's the appropriate entity to take ownership of the property. So there's a lot of safeguards. This basically provides a tool as the county looks for disposing of properties that it may no longer want to own.
Any questions or comments from the members for Councilman Marks? All right, is there a motion to approve Bill 58-19?
So moved.
Second.
Been a motion to approve Bill 58-19 as amended and has been seconded. Mr. Secretary, please call the roll on Bill 58-19 as amended.
Mr. Quirk?
Aye.
Mr. Marks?
Aye.
Mr. Catch?
Aye.
Mr. Jones?
Aye.
Mrs. Bevins?
Aye.
Mr. Crandall?
Aye.
Mr. Patoka?
Aye.
Bill 58-19 as amended is passed. Council will now consider all fiscal matters. Extensive testimony was taken at the Council's work session on November 12, 2019. The witnesses who testified at the work session are available to restate their testimony if needed. If a council member has any questions regarding a particular fiscal matter, that item will be discussed as a separate issue. I will now call upon the Secretary to read the cover letter for fiscal matters 2 and 3, noting that fiscal matter 1 is withdrawn.
Yes, sir. Fiscal matter 2 is a contract with Cruz Construction LLC for snow removal and de-icing services, and fiscal matter 3 is a contract of sale with Oakley Properties LLC, which is the acquisition of a parcel drainage utility easement at Darlington Drive.
Any questions or comments from the members? Hearing none, is there a motion to approve fiscal matters 2 through 3?
I'll move it.
Second.
All right, Mr. Secretary, please call the roll on fiscal matters 2 and 3.
Mr. Quirk?
Aye.
Mrs. Bevins?
Aye.
Mr. Catch?
Aye.
Mr. Patoka?
Aye.
Mr. Jones?
Aye.
Mr. Marks?
Aye.
Mr. Crandall?
Aye.
Fiscal matters 2 and 3 are now approved. We will now consider miscellaneous business. Mr. Secretary, first item, please.
The first item is correspondence from the Director of the Office of Budget and Finance. Whenever a contract over $25,000 is awarded by a process other than formal competitive bid, it is required that a copy of the contract be given to the County Council and that the nature and parties to the contract be announced at the next legislative session following the award. There are 2 such contracts this evening. The first is with Crossmatch Technologies Incorporated for the Office of Information Technology in the amount of $29,760, and the second is a contract with School Health Corporation for vision screening equipment in the amount of $29,980.
Mr. Secretary, next item, please.
Next is Resolution 145-19, Economic Development Revenue Bond, McDonough School Incorporated.
I see Will Anderson here to testify. And good evening, Mr. Anderson.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the council. Resolution 14519 is a request to support a revenue bond for McDonough School. This is a $16 million bond that for which the county pledges no liability nor its full faith and credit. It's bonds that the school will be paying back themselves. The county actually will receive a 1/16% on outstanding principal throughout the life of this bond, and it'll be used for them to expand their campus and specifically their new middle school, which they're constructing.
Any questions or comments from the members? Councilman Jones?
No, Mr. Anderson, I guess, wanted to take an opportunity to just thank you as well as your team in terms of helping to help facilitate the bond. McDonough School is an important institution in my community, and I think they do a great job in terms of educating children.
Thank you, sir. It's an important program for us to help nonprofits finance themselves, and I think you'll see us bringing some more from other nonprofits such as Senior Living and other schools in the future.
Mr. Chair, I just want to note for the record how conflicted I am with this vote. I'm a Gilman Greyhound,
Oh, there you go.
so I have to take my Gilman hat off when we vote on this one.
That's great. That's funny. That's a good one. Anybody else? Okay. Is there a motion to approve Resolution 145-19?
So moved.
Been a motion and second. Mr. Secretary, please call the roll on Resolution 145-19.
Mr. Quirk?
Aye.
Mr. Catch?
Aye.
Mr. Jones?
Aye.
Mr. Marks? Mr. Patoka?
Aye.
Mrs. Bevins?
Aye.
Mr. Crandall?
Aye.
Resolution 145-19 is passed.
Thank you.
Mr. Anderson. Mr. Secretary, next item, please.
Resolution 146-19 is sponsored by Councilman Quirk. This is a resolution in support of financing through the Maryland Department of Housing and Community Development Neighborhood Business Works Program for 818 Frederick LLC.
Yeah, and I'll just simply state that this is just for financing. This is a wonderful business. It's called 818 Gourmet, and it's close to $9 million in investment right on Frederick Road in Catonsville, which we're very appreciative that we have investors in the community willing to put up their own money and also get the financing to make such a wonderful project happen in Catonsville. And this is a program through the state that I also recommend other council members look at, because it's a great thing to do, especially for revitalization areas. And when you have an investor in mind, this is definitely a really neat program. And of course, I'd be remiss if I didn't acknowledge Patrick Baldwin and Dan Zakai for their tremendous amount of investment right in Catonsville. I think once this is up and moving, I think it's going to be a great new addition, along with Fadley's that should be coming in as well on Frederick Road soon. Any questions or comments from the members? Everybody good? All right, I'll move Resolution 146-19.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Mr. Secretary, please call the roll on Resolution 146-19.
Mr. Quirk?
Aye.
Mr. Catch?
Aye.
Mr. Patoka?
Aye.
Mr. Jones?
Aye.
Mr. Marks? Mrs. Bevins?
Aye.
Mr. Crandall?
Aye.
Resolution 146-19 is passed. Mr. Secretary, next item, please.
Next is Resolution 147-19, sponsored by Councilman Quirk. This is a resolution to authorize the property tax refund to Raymond Stern, who, as a disabled veteran, is entitled to a refund under state law.
It is my honor to approve Resolution 147-19, and to move the Resolution 147-19.
Second.
Been a motion and second. Mr. Secretary, please call the roll on Resolution 147-19.
Mr. Quirk?
Aye.
Mrs. Bevins?
Aye.
Mr. Catch?
Aye.
Mr. Jones?
Aye.
Mr. Marks? Mr. Crandall?
Aye.
Mr. Patoka?
Aye.
Resolution 147-19 is passed. Mr. Secretary, next item, please.
Resolution 148-19 is sponsored by Councilman Jones. This is a resolution to authorize the property tax refund for Mr. Kevin Thomas, who, as a disabled veteran, is entitled to a refund under state law.
My honor to move the resolution.
Second.
Motion and second. Mr. Secretary, please call the roll on Resolution 148-19.
Mr. Jones?
Aye.
Mr. Patoka?
Aye.
Mr. Quirk?
Aye.
Mr. Catch?
Aye.
Mr. Marks? Mrs. Bevins?
Aye.
Mr. Crandall?
Aye.
Resolution 148-19 is passed. Mr. Secretary, next item, please.
Resolution 149-19 is a resolution sponsored by Councilwoman Bevins to authorize the property tax refund for Louis Sika, who, as a disabled veteran, is entitled to a refund under state law.
It's my honor to move it.
Second.
Motion and second. Mr. Secretary, please call the roll on Resolution 149-19.
Mrs. Bevins?
Aye.
Mr. Crandall?
Aye.
Mr. Quirk?
Aye.
Mr. Patoka?
Aye.
Mr. Catch?
Aye.
Mr. Jones?
Aye.
Mr. Marks?
Resolution 149-19 is passed. Mr. Secretary, next item, please.
Resolution 150-19 is sponsored by Councilman Crandall. This is a resolution to authorize the property tax refund to Lee Austin, who, as a disabled veteran, is entitled to a refund under state law.
It's my honor to move the resolution.
Second.
Motion is second. Mr. Secretary, please call the roll on Resolution 150-19.
Mr. Crandall?
Aye.
Mrs. Bevins?
Aye.
Mr. Quirk?
Aye.
Mr. Patoka?
Aye.
Mr. Catch?
Aye.
Mr. Jones?
Aye.
Mr. Marks?
Resolution 150-19 is passed. Mr. Secretary, next item, please.
Next is the council's consideration of the nomination by the county executive of Mr. James R. Benjamin Jr. to be the next county attorney for Baltimore County.
And I see we have Mr. Benjamin here with us tonight, and it's great to see. If you want to say a few brief words. I know we had a wonderful lunch session with you. We also had a really great work session. So we appreciate your willingness to serve the public in this capacity.
Thank you very much. Good evening. Chairman Quirk, honorable members of the County Council. I'm James Benjamin, a proud county resident. I live in District 3 with my wife and 2-year-old daughter, both of whom are here, and want to thank them very much for all of their love and support. I've been a county resident for over 12 years. I also would be remiss if I didn't thank my mom and dad, who are also here in the audience. Thank them for all of their love and support. Indeed, my whole family who's here to support me. It's been just really overwhelmed by the love and support that I've gotten from all of my family. I'm deeply honored to have been nominated to serve as county attorney, and I fully understand the awesome responsibility that comes with this role. I take very seriously my responsibility to uphold the public trust. I want to assure all of you of my commitment to upholding the common good, what's in the best interest of the county and the citizens of this county, and also want to assure you that I will strive to be transparent, accountable, and efficient in all I do as county attorney. So I thank you all very much for your time and consideration.
Thank you. And I just learned that you're Doug Dodrell's son-in-law.
Indeed.
Which is wonderful. We all know Doug from his service to many county executives and great service to the police force. So what a small world. That's great. Other questions, comments? Councilman Jones.
Yes, Mr. Benjamin, I'd like to, first of all, congratulate you.
Thank you.
And thank Mr. Field for his service. He's been I know you're not going anywhere, but you certainly have been a very serious person who's done a fantastic job in terms of county attorney. And I've come to know you over the years, and you've certainly been a tremendous help to me, and you've been certainly available to me whenever I've reached out. So I certainly appreciate your service. Mr. Benjamin, this is a monumental occasion, so I'd like to first start by thanking the county executive for his commitment to diversity. As I understand, you will be the first African American to hold this position.
Yes, I will.
And we are very proud of you. Again, like I said, I'm very proud of the county executive for nominating you, and I have come to know you myself over the years, having served on the commission for the Charter Review Commission as my nominee.
That's right.
And I've known you to be a very decent, hard-working family man.
Well, thank you.
And I look forward to working with you. And it's an awesome responsibility being the first. I've given a speech before that one day we won't have to recognize the first, but until that time comes, it's important that we recognize the first, because it shows that we are, in fact, making progress. So I look forward to working with you and wish you nothing but the best.
Thank you so much.
Sure.
Other questions or comments? Councilman Patoka.
Good evening, Mr. Benjamin.
Good evening.
I think it's wonderful that you brought your family along. Family, I know the job is really important, but family is really number one.
It really is. Without them, there's no me. So I'm very appreciative of all their support and love.
Agreed. And you and I worked together in Baltimore City, and back then I always thought of you as a fine young attorney.
Well, thank you.
And now here we're going to be working, if provided we have the appropriate votes, which I'm confident we are, we'll be working again together. And now we're a little bit more seasoned.
A little bit.
Yes. And I look forward to working with you, and I think you're going to make an outstanding county attorney.
Thank you so much.
Councilman Marks.
Thank you very much. Mr. Benjamin, you clearly have the professional chops, the intellect, the independence, the integrity to do an outstanding job. You
Thank
also
you.
have support from many stakeholders, people of many different parties, I might add, which is great. You're going to do a terrific job, and I'm very happy to support your nomination.
Thank you.
The charter review was brought up, and with that, I want to also acknowledge Mr. Fields' tremendous work over the past 9 years. Those of us who have been here for a while, it's easy to forget some of the stuff we worked on in 2011, 12, 13, but we did some major revisions to the ethics law, and Mr. Field was part of that. Clearly, the charter reform effort was a big part of your portfolio, and you've been involved in a lot of things, and you've handled them in a stellar manner. So I want to thank you for all your service. And Mr. Benjamin, I very much look forward to working with you in the future.
Thank you very much.
Councilwoman Bevins?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Benjamin, thank you so much for coming in and personally meeting with the council and telling us a little bit about yourself professionally and personally. I know you've married into a great family.
I sure
so
have.
You definitely got my vote. But we really look forward to working with you. I don't think it's an easy position to be in because although you are the head of the law department and fall under the executive branch, you also work with the county council as well. So we're looking forward to working with you and wish you good luck, and I'm happy to support you.
Thank you very much.
Any other questions or comments? Do you have something?
Yeah.
Okay, Councilman Katz?
Thank you.
Sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to thank Mr. Field first for your service to the county. And you obviously went through some difficult times, but I think you weathered it well. And I wish you all the best downstairs. If you have any problems downstairs, come to me. I'll go to her. So, But, Mr. Benjamin, I certainly congratulate you on this nomination and do intend to vote for your approval. I met your wife about a week ago and found out she went to Franklin and Marshall. Did you go there too?
I did not.
You did not. That's a shame. I went to Western Maryland.
I was going to say, what about Western
I went to
Maryland College?
Western Maryland College.
That's right.
But my aide went to Franklin and Marshall.
Okay.
So,
There you go.
and actually, my aide's sister knows your wife. So
It's a small world.
It's a very small world.
Yeah.
So you can't get away with anything. No.
That's right.
So, but again, congratulations. I do intend to support you
Thank
and look forward to working with you. And I know you're working with the county executive as well, and I'm certain that you'll be able to walk that thin line,
Yes, indeed.
which
Thank you.
isn't going to be easy.
It will not. But
No. Thank you.
Councilman Jones?
Mr. Chair, I'd like to move the nomination. However, it's a point of privilege. If you don't mind, I would ask Mr. Benjamin, can you ask your family to stand and introduce them?
Sure.
This is
Please
part of
stand.
the background check.
All right. This is my brother-in-law, Daniel Wachowski, and my sister-in-law, Andrea Wachowski. That's my aunt, Mary Ann. That's me. My wife, Lauren, and my daughter, Grace. Can I hold my daughter? Can I get her real quick?
Go right ahead. This is all part of the background check. We want to make sure that you really know these people.
That's great. That's precious.
My mom, Janine Benjamin. My stepfather, James Robinson. My father-in-law, Doug Donahue. My mother-in-law, Shelley Donahue.
Alrighty.
Congratulations.
Oh,
sir.
thank you. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, if I may.
Councilman Crandall?
Mr. Benjamin, we have not yet had the pleasure, but we actually read things that are given to us on the council. So I did read your resume, and just for the record, Councilman Katch, Mr. Benjamin is a terrapin.
Well, there you go.
I didn't know I was going to elicit that little outburst, Councilwoman. My goodness, Mr. Benjamin, I'm looking forward to working with you. We've been a council that relies a lot on our county attorneys, and it's a very busy office. And you have you have an act to follow in Mr. Field, who's been a pleasure for us to work with, at least in my 5 years. So, Mike, thank you for your service, and good luck to you. And hopefully, we'll be talking soon.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, I move the nomination of Mr. Benjamin as the county attorney.
It's been a motion and second. Mr. Secretary, please call a roll on this appointment.
Mr. Jones?
Aye.
Mr. Catch?
Aye.
Mr. Quirk?
Aye.
Mr. Crandall?
Aye.
Mr. Patoka?
Aye.
Mr. Marks? Mrs. Bevins?
Aye.
The appointment is confirmed. Congratulations, Mr. Benjamin, County Attorney. Thank you. Yeah, thanks. You got a little pin. That's nice.
Kimmy saw me. How did it happen?
You probably got one.
Everything's wet.
All righty.
Everything is wet.
Wow.
Guess,
Oh, look at that. Look at that.
all right, Mr. Secretary, next item, please.
Mr. Chair, next is Resolution 151-19, sponsored by Councilwoman Bevins. This is a resolution to authorize the property tax refund to Bruce Long, who, as a disabled veteran, is entitled to a refund under state law.
I'm honored to move it.
Second.
Been a motion and second. Mr. Secretary, please call the roll on Resolution 151-19.
Mrs. Bevins?
Aye.
Mr. Crandall?
Aye.
Mr. Quirk?
Aye.
Mr. Marks? Mr. Jones?
Aye.
Mr. Catch? Mr. Patoka?
Aye. Resolution 151-19 is passed. Mr. Secretary, next item, please.
Next is Resolution 152-19, Economic Development Review Bond, Oak Crest Village Incorporated, for introduction only this evening.
Mr. Secretary, next item, please.
Next is Resolution 153-19, Extension of Sanitary Sewer System, Meredith's Ford Road, Towson, Maryland. Introduction only this evening.
Mr. Secretary, next item, please.
Resolution 154-19, sponsored by Council Members Patoka and Catch, support for Main Street, Maryland program designation for Reisterstown. Introduction only this evening.
All right, and Councilwoman Bevins?
Yes? Oh, I'm sorry. Well, I think I'll come. Do you mind if I go down there? Okay. So we wanted to, although you're not leaving the county, we certainly wanted to commemorate you and the time that you spent as a county attorney. So of course we have an official all-council resolution for you. And everybody always calls Michael Fields for some reason and puts an S on, I don't know why. So we're going to change this out after it dries. Everything's wet. David's pants are wet.
No, they're not.
So it says that the council hereby extends its respect, congratulations, and sincere appreciation to Michael Field, who has served as the county attorney since December the 6th, 2010. Mike has been an attorney in the office of law since decennial revision of the county code. He not only revised the code, but completely modernized and revamped every article, title, and section of the county code. Now, that sounds sexy. Right. You wouldn't work. As county attorney for almost 9 years, he has supervised exemplary office of law and has also effectively managed the often difficult role of representing both executive and legislative branches of government. The council joins with those assembled on Monday, November the 18th, 2019, in recognizing an individual whose dedication to Baltimore County has been hallmarked by integrity and professionalism, and wishing him well in continued success as he leaves the office of law to serve as a senior policy advisor to the county executive.
Mr. Secretary, is there any farther business to come before the council?
There is no further business, Mr. Chair.
Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
The motion second. All in favor? Aye. Meeting is adjourned. As is customary, anyone who signed up prior to the meeting with the Secretary is allowed up to 3 minutes to speak. Mr. Secretary, any speakers signed up for this evening?
There is one speaker, Mr. Chair.
All righty. And so our one speaker today is Fergal Malali. I hope I pronounced that right. All righty. Get them right every once in a while. You got up to 3 minutes to speak, and good evening. Thank you for being here.
Yes, thank you, council members. I want to start by wishing the best of luck to the incoming and the outgoing county attorneys, and I wish you the best of success in your careers. My name is Fergal Malali. I'm a resident of Towson and the parent of 2 students attending Baltimore County Public Schools. I want to thank the council for its diligent oversight over the countless arrays of issues that come before you, much of which passes unnoticed to residents like myself. But I do want to speak on a rare issue that I worry has managed to slip through without the customary scrutiny. My concern was with Resolution 19-145, which was passed this evening, the tax-exempt bond for McDonough Private School. Briefly, this resolution would grant the ability to McDonough School, a private fee-paying institution, to issue a $16 million tax-free bond. To be clear, the county will neither issue nor underwrite this loan. It simply declares the work to be of public benefit, and the loan is exempt from taxation. A fee-paying school, I fear, is not a permissible beneficiary for this proposed tax exemption. The council's work session agenda packet lists, Title 12, Subtitle 1, Sections 12-101 through 12-118 of the Annotated Code of Maryland as the authority for the county to issue economic development bonds. Now, I am not a lawyer, but a bare reading of this statute does not suggest to me that the powers are in fact granted in this case. Section 12-103 of the Act gives its purpose as to relieve conditions of unemployment, encourage industry or economic development, to develop ports, to abate pollution, or to promote the health, welfare, and safety of residents of the state. It seems to me, from reading the agenda packet that was submitted in support of this resolution, that McDonough development does not meet these requirements. In particular, because the development will be sited on the grounds of a private school, this development will not improve the welfare of any state residents other than a small number of pupils. This is an important point. The legislation is written to be interpreted broadly, but all legislation has its limits. Independent of the law, I do not feel that this tax exemption was a good choice for the county. Councillors, you are rightly concerned both with fully funding our public schools as well as keeping our tax rates low. The inevitable tension between these two goals is only going to increase with the recommendations of the Kirwan Commission. You treat any effort to increase tax rates with considerable skepticism, and I urge you to apply the same skepticism when an organisation tries to avoid paying their fair share of taxes. A tax exemption means that money that should accrue to the county and the state does not accrue. There is a genuine cost to the welfare of the residents of this county arising from this resolution that must be carefully balanced against any potential benefits. These benefits must be clearly articulated, and they must exceed the upfront cost to us in lost tax revenue. The benefits in this case were not clear. What's done is done. I realise I'm speaking after the fact, but I do urge the council to carefully review the legal issues raised by this resolution. Thank you.
Thank you. Questions or comments?
I would only thank you for coming tonight. Certainly appreciate you sharing your thoughts and concerns with us. I would just like to just say that McDonough School has about 1,300 students. When you read the reasons for the bond issuance, one of them was economic development. Well, with 1,300 students, if those students did not go to McDonough, some of them would probably end up in public schools. I'm just saying. If they end up in public schools, that's more that we would have to spend. The other part that I would just like to add is McDonough School employs somewhere close to 180 to 185 full-time faculty members. That salary goes to them. They pay for, you name it, in our community. They feed their families and take care of them. So the second part, or the last part, is it's no burden on us to do it. And if it wasn't within the confounds of the law, we wouldn't do it. But we certainly appreciate your concerns, though, because we all here are very strong supporters of public education. And we've continued to fund our schools at record levels during the last, 8 to 10 years. So, thanks.
May I respond?
Yes.
Yeah, I appreciate the point, and I do not take anything I say as a criticism of the hard work these teachers undoubtedly do. I did notice from the work session packet that the number of students attending the school was not going to change with this new construction, and I believe the number of staff was only increased by the number of 3. So it is difficult to argue that this particular economic bond was going to promote economic growth in the county or the state.
But I would echo Councilman Jones' statement because, as you know, there's no direct obligation of Baltimore County. It's not like a general obligation bond. It's almost like a pass-through where they're using the tax-exempt status. They do have a lot of teachers and students and faculty that work and pay taxes in the communities. And, you know, it's an interesting question, though, because we will have several more of these. Like, we have several more on the docket with different, like Oakcrest and others that are coming up as well. And so we do appreciate your comments. Any questions or comments from anybody else? Councilman Marks?
I want to thank you for coming. I want to thank you for the thoughtfulness with which you pursued this and other issues. You've always been proposed very intelligent ideas, and I want to thank you for that, and for being an engaged citizen. I had a lot of questions about this as well. I articulated them at the work session. In the end, I came to the conclusion that the county had no liability with this, and sided with those who supported this. I have to say, I wish McDonough had testified at the work session. Is anyone here tonight from McDonough? Well, that's a bit frustrating. You know,
Mr. Secretary, I think we had 3 that sat in the audience on the work session, I believe. I think
you're right.
It would have been nice to have heard from them. But thank you very much. You are very articulate, and I appreciate you coming.
So I do appreciate that the council is not issuing a bond, is not underwriting a bond, but that tax revenue that would ordinarily be returning to the coffers of either the county, the state, or the federal government will not return. And so the tax haul for whatever the appropriate body is, and I'm not a tax accountant either, does not come to us. And so the burden for paying stuff lands on us ordinary taxpayers some more. And that's my concern.
any
Thank you.
other questions, comments? Councilman Jones?
Let me, number one, I agree with you in terms of we all can do a better job in terms of being stewards of making sure everybody pay their fair share of taxes. We do a lot of things here as a council. We do a lot of things as a government in terms of Baltimore County, Baltimore City, the whole region, the state, the nation. One of the things you heard today prior to your comment was a whole list of disabled veterans that have various degrees of disability. To be quite frank, we just take the veterans' word that they're disabled. To be quite frank, we don't know how much money they make, whether they make $1 or whether they make 100,000 or 100 million. But because they're disabled veterans, we decided that Not only will they not pay taxes for the rest of their life in Baltimore County, but we're going to give them a 3-year refund. Money that we've already spent. We're going to take that 3 years and give it back to them. So clearly, there's a lot of things we need to take a look at in terms of making sure everybody's paying their fair share of taxes. The only point that I would make is when we decide to start going after people and making sure they pay their taxes, I think if we put the list up there, you might find that a school might be way down on the bottom. There may be a lot of people up top, from major corporations to you name it, before we get to schools. That's my only point.
There are certainly times when it is appropriate to offer tax exemptions. There are certain economic development which benefits certain people who deserve it. To be fair to the council, I'm not entirely sure that this issue did not maybe get the attention in public that it deserved. Maybe you know more about it than I do.
Any other thoughts or comments? I mean, I do agree with Councilman Marks. I mean, I appreciate your research. I really do appreciate you coming out to testify, and appreciate the time you spent looking into this, and also willing to stay and voice your concerns too afterward too. Appreciate that. All righty. On that note, I do want to wish everyone a safe drive home. Thank you all for coming, and again, congratulations to our new county attorney, Mr. Benjamin. Everybody have a great night.